All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar about data monetization. I am Yves Cornet. I'm responsible for data at NRB, and I will be your host today. So this data monetization is one of my favorite topics. I have prepared a little agenda for you today. So we will introduce the subject. We will discuss about the definition of data monetization. There is internal and external data monetization. What are actually the challenges? What prevents most of the companies from doing data mon projects? But what are actually the opportunities if you manage to reach your first project around data monetization? What are actually the benefits? There are different business models. I will also show you many use cases and examples that you can find around the web. And I will finish this webinar with the Q&A and just after presenting the methodology of NRB around data monetization. Sometimes I'm going to just shorten data monetization into data mon, just to ease my life. Okay, so let's start with the definition, which is on the left of the slide. Data monetization is the process of utilizing data to procure economic benefits. Okay, so there is really a notion of gain. Either you are going to save time, which in a way is going to mean money, either it's going to be direct additional revenue thanks to your data monetization project. So on the right of the slide, you've got three typical ways, to ensure these economic benefits. Number one is a better understanding of your data that will drive you to make better decisions, and that will make sure that your internal processes are going to be more efficient. Another way is going to be sharing data with business partners for a mutual benefit. There is, in the exchange of data, there is not necessarily a notion of money. It can be just improving the relationship by sharing data. And the last way, and I'm going to show you many use cases around that, because it's quite obvious, that's going to be around selling the data. Okay. Now, as I said, you've got internal data monetization project, you've got external. Generally, this is especially valid for the companies whose mission is not necessarily to make money, but there are still data mon projects that will be possible. We will call them more internal. And as you can see on the slide, these internal data mon projects are always going to be about internal process improvement, operational efficiencies, better understanding the situation, better using the data to take better decisions. And it's going to be around sharing the data internally, therefore between departments. Okay. Another way that's going to be external. You are going to share data with external parties, again, for money or not necessarily. And when it is going to be about the money, then it's going to be selling the data. Now, why, as I said, if it is so incredible, why is it so complicated, or what are the barriers, the challenges for most of the companies, that prevents them from going into the data monetization direction? I would say that the first one, which is quite obvious, is that if you want to sell or better use your data, you need to have a high quality, especially if you are going to ask money for it. And this is probably going to be the biggest first barrier into the data mon world, the data quality. Also, do you even have the data which is available? Another one that might be lacking is the management vision. Sometimes some companies, you just do the things like you always used to do. So data monetization is not necessarily seen as anything useful. The big topic around data privacy, sometimes because of GDPR or data privacy, you will not be able to sell anything or to exchange anything, although there are probably ways to prevent or to help in that particular sector. You might be lacking expertise. You might not have anyone. This is where NRB is going to help you. You might not have anyone in your company, skilled or willing to do that data mine project. Another point important is, do you have the technology necessary in order to do this? An example would be, you will need a way for your customers or your external parties to connect, to get access to those data. Generally, this is done via a portal. Do you have a technology, a portal technology put in place in order to do so? And the last one is a big one, is generally, this is going to be one of the main reasons you will not do a data mine project, because you don't see the value. You anticipate that it's going to cost you a lot of money internally, and you don't really see the value that it is going to bring. This is simple math. If it's going to cost you 1 million and you are not going to get it back, of course, maybe you would stop right there. Now, what are the opportunities? Opportunities are so many, but the first one is the most obvious, is this would be an additional way to increase your revenue. Okay, and commercial companies are always looking for new ways, to make more money. If you don't talk about money, that could also be only about a competitive advantage. For example, if you have a way to share data, that could be a unique value for your customers and partners to actually partner with you. It's because you would give them that possibility. That would increase and strengthen the partnership. There is a notion of customer loyalty, obviously, but that could also create some new business opportunities. You will see that in the use case that I will present. As I said, internally, and especially valid for those companies who are not going to focus on the monetary topic, simply to optimize your internal processes, the productivity of your employees, and last but not least, this is part, better managing your data is part of your digital transformation. Now, what are 3 business models around data monetization? The first one is quite obvious, data as a service. The second one is a little bit further, data as a product. And the last one is just because humans are always extremely creative, data as collateral. I'm going to come back and I'm going to present you all these different business models. The first one is the most simple. It's the most obvious. You are going to sell the data in a raw or in an aggregated form. Okay, so you don't apply, you don't do anything on the data. You just share it as it is. And the fact that I mentioned aggregated format, again, it's because some laws will prevent you from selling or giving access to the real low-level data. Just think about, patient data. You would not want to share data about a particular patient, or maybe not, or even about a particular customer. Maybe you want or you have to aggregate the data at province or regional level. Okay. The second way would be data as a product. So here, you as a company, you are going to process the data under the form of dashboards or particular reports. And this is, so the value will increase because you will add that extra work. And this is a final product that you are going to sell to your customers. And that's where you have different names. It's not always called data as a product. It could be called insight as a service. It could be called analytics as a service, and sometimes even BI as a service. Okay, so you are going to just pay for a service, and that service is going to be in return, a better understanding of your situation, because you will buy already made reports. And the last one, as I said, is it really shows the creativity of humans. That's going to be, you are going to use data to get data loans or to get money. So in exchange of money, you are going to exchange data. or at least in exchange of getting money, you are going to give away some data momentarily, and after that you would get it back. So again, that shows you the creativity of humans. Now, I'm going to switch now to some use cases and success stories around data monetization and why, some other companies have already done it. But before I start with these use cases, I'm just going to show you two companies whose core business was from the very start to actually sell data. Okay, so you will see that there are some evolutions in the core business of the companies. This one, IQVIA or VIA, is actually a merge between Quintiles and IMS Health. So if you are in the pharmaceutical sector and in the health sector, IMS Health should resonate for you. So it's basically a company who is focusing on selling consumption data. For example, they have agreements with pharmacies. Okay, so in Belgium, when you go and buy that particular medicine, okay, this is going to be recorded and registered, and these pharmacies are going to sell those data back to IQVIA, and that company is going to sell those consumption data back to the pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so that's really the core business. Another company whose core business from the start was to sell data, that's going to be Nielsen. Okay, Nielsen is more in the media sector. So, for example, if you would create a new TV series like Squid Game or Games of Thrones, you would always be interested to know, the rate. Did many people watch my series? Was that hundreds? What was that millions? What is the market share, and so on, which is going to be particularly important for you to to decide if you want to do a season 2 and so on. And this is those type of data, you would get it via a company like Nielsen. So these are companies whose core business was definitely to sell data. Now, this is where it starts to be interesting. And now I'm going to talk about companies whose core business is absolutely not to sell data, but because they are creative and smart, they started slowly but surely to do that. Okay, selling data to third parties. One of the companies was a retailer in Germany. And so again, the core business of a retailer is to distribute and sell products. It's not to sell data. But when you start to think about it, this is quite genius. I don't know if you are old enough to remember, but you should know that at some point in Belgium, a company like Coca-Cola put a new Coke on the market. It was green. Okay, and of course, Coca-Cola would be very interested to understand, the progression. Was it a good product? How was it sold? Was it a success? And maybe even get an idea of, some social demographics around it. Was it more female, male? Was it more young or old people? And who do you think would get access to those data? Well, obviously, if you would want to buy that product, you would have to go to a retailer. And this is the genius. That's the retailer who would have those data. And they would sell back those data to major groups like Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, Procter & Gamble, and so on. Okay, so this is really an additional way for that retailer to make additional revenue. Another example that I can give you is a leading social network. Okay, so when you subscribe to the service, you have the choice. You can, you make your profile and you start to say, I am more interested in that topic. I like this, I like that person, and so on. And then, of course, that company derived on all the, the taste and the likes of those different, I would say, users. You would be able to create some studies, and the one that is displayed would be, some fan statistics on Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. Okay, so it's pretty fast. You say, I like Barack Obama, and then in your profile you say probably, your age and your friends and your gender and so on. And then, of course, based on that, those companies are able to derive this kind of analysis. And you can even dig a little bit deeper. For example, if you are an Obama fan, what are the books that you like to read? What is the music that you like to listen to, and so on? And these are the things that can be created and, of course, sold. Another example, to go back to the retail, and this is an example that you can find on the web. Walmart, that's the #1 retailer in the world, and they created what they called Walmart Lemonade. And this is a way to collect and identify the patterns on their e-commerce way, so on their website, okay, and they would sell back those patterns to the merchants and the supplier of that e-commerce portal. And if you look on the on the slide, you will see that it was quite successful, because Walmart has seen a 75% increase in e-commerce revenue growth, and also an increase, obviously, in the number of suppliers of their e-commerce portal. Another example, we are not in retail, we are now in banking. You might know BBVA. BBVA, it's a banking group in Spain. So what they do is also something quite obvious, okay? Now, of course, you need to take care of the regulations and the laws, but in Spain, if you anonymize and aggregate the data, you can sell it back then to third parties. Okay, so what are the data sold? Customer transaction, when you are using your card, your bank card to buy anything. This one is without names, but you will understand the concept. It's pretty interesting because it's really a symbiosis between company A and company B. Just imagine company A is creating things, okay, safety critical components using machine presses, okay. In order to operate these presses, you might need some oil and lubricant, okay, so company B is selling these kind of oil and lubricants. And then, as you can see, company A sells data, so production data, to company B. Company B, based on those production data, improve the product, so the lubricants, and then sells back better lubricants back to company A, which in turn can produce in a better way. You see that kind of symbiosis between these two companies, pretty genius again. Now, I told you about selling data to third parties, but how about increasing your own services, thanks to data? And this is really the genius again. So just imagine an insurance company. So an insurance company having brokers, okay? So the deal between, you are a broker of that insurance company, you have a deal with that company, so you are allowed, to benefit from the brand. You would sell these insurance products, okay? But generally, as a broker, you would have access to only your own data. You would know how well you did that week, that month, and so on, okay? But the additional service here from that insurance company is to provide to all the brokers in a money, you would have to pay for that service, that extra service, and that would be very interesting for you as a broker to understand what are the other brokers doing in an aggregated way, you see, so that you would have a better understanding of your performance, because maybe your product is your king or queen product is that, but for the rest of Belgium, maybe it's a different product, and that would attract and make you understand maybe, the market a little bit better. And just to tell you what, that idea was already copied in a different sector, retail, where Belgian retailers, here it's not really called broker, but more a franchisee. And just again, same deal. You are a franchisee of that Belgian retailer, so you have access to the brand, and the products. But again, it's only valid for yourself. So as a franchisee, what are the products that you sold in your own shop. But maybe you would be interested to pay a little bit extra money to get access to, country level type of information, region, maybe even in your own province. You sold in a certain way, but how did the other shops of the same brand do in your province? Okay, so additional possibility for that Belgian retailer to make additional revenue. Another example, natural evolution of the technology. You have probably noticed nowadays that the cars are better and better equipped with captors, IoT, Internet of Things. So a car if connected to the internet, has the possibility to send back, you know, to the vendor many information regarding how you drive and so on. You might have already seen that sometimes when you are going to run out of fuel, that your car is actually starting to suggest you, you are soon out of fuel. Do you want me to show you, you know, on a map the next, gas station? And these are things that the vendor, so Peugeot in this particular case, might be able to sell back to you as an improvement of service. Like if you subscribe to this service, we will be able to play more jazz music, for example, if you like jazz and so on. Okay. Another one that I like really very much is Telenor. So as the name says, Telenor is a telecom in Norway. So that's not the core business of a telco company, as you can imagine. It's about telecommunications. But how about getting a little bit extra money by providing a service, an additional service to the customers? And this one would be pet tracking. Okay, because as you can easily imagine, this would be a need. This is something that they have discovered. Some pet owners might be interested to subscribe to that service in order to be able to track their pets and find them back. All right. So now I'm going to focus on this part, on this last part of the use cases, more on the public sector. Okay, in the public sector, you might think, is there a way to make money and to monetize the data? Well, ETIAS did something extremely smart, and this is a project that they call urban data. So as an insurance company, you can easily imagine that they have access to incident and accident type of data. Okay, and their genius here was to provide cities and municipalities and communes access, you know, to those type of data. And I find it again genius. Why? Because just imagine you are the mayor, the bourgmestre of a commune and or a city, and you want, of course, to decrease the number of accidents in your town or commune. And what would be an easy way? It would be to understand, I'm just inventing here, every Saturday night in that particular crossroad, you know, or that particular street, the risk, there are many car accidents. Maybe you would want to have a higher police presence, you know, on Saturday night to decrease the risk of accident and therefore increase the quality in your city or commune. Okay, so that's one example. Another example is the city of Copenhagen. They were thinking about what would be the type of data that we would have that would interest people. And they, and obviously, I would dare to say, they came to the conclusion that the travel patterns data set would be of great value to companies or to people. What is travel patterns? As you can read, is like a data set that includes information about how people move around different locations and at different times in an area. Okay, so why would that be interesting? The movement of the masses? Well, just imagine in terms of advertising, traffic planning, targeted marketing, cultural events, and so just imagine you want to advertise, you know, something. Well, it's more obvious to advertise it where you know that the people are going to go near it in masses a lot, rather than to put your panel somewhere where there is very few traffic. Okay, so that would be one way for a city to make extra revenues by selling aggregated type of data. And if you look a little bit around the web, you find some other, you know, and you find that GinkGo type of website, which says neighborhood intelligent platform for city builders. And again, this is the same type of concept about travel patterns. If you are a city builder and you are, you know, you are creating buildings, well, if you create commercial type of buildings, it would be better in your interest to have a lot of movements, you know, a lot of passage, many people, many passengers, many pedestrians, and probably as opposed, if you would, your idea would be to create residential type of buildings, maybe less crowd would be a little bit better for you. And I will, before I reach the methodology, I wanted to stop on this one. I put you the link. It's called Data Collaboratives. It's actually a Belgian person who created that initiative. And as you can see, this initiative is to make the world a better place. And the idea is to exchange data, anyone, so commercial companies, but also commune cities, in order to create a general additional public value. Okay, so I suggest you, I invite you to click on that link and to see what it is about. So now I have finished the different use cases, and I would like to spend a few minutes on the methodology that we have put in place in order to help companies, start or get better with the data monetization project. So the methodology consists of 9 phases, 9 points, 9 topics. Okay, you can read. One topic is identify, obviously, the data monetization opportunities, defining the target audience, defining the data value, the pricing. Do you even have the data? So identifying the data sources, the data quality, data governance rules. We can even help you develop the marketing and sales plan, and of course implement and monitor. What is very important for me to tell you this morning is that this is quite an iterative process. So you can start with the first iteration, which is, workshops around identifying the opportunities. And if at the end of that iteration, the conclusion is there is no opportunities, the project can stop there. Okay, this is a kind of stop and go type of mode. And but if you have identified these opportunities, then you can switch to the second step and so on. All right. Of course, we can also discuss about, yes, but identifying the data sources in step 5. Maybe we should do it in step 1. This is really something that we can adapt also to the customers. Okay, so I have done my part in half an hour. So now I will switch to the question and answers, if any. And because as you can imagine, the data monetization can take 2 hours, or can take as fast as 15 seconds. Once you have explained a little bit the concept, it can be it can be already done. So this is why we wanted to give you an idea in not too much time, I would dare to say. Okay, so let's switch to the Q&A if there are any. I see there are some. Okay, so I see 4 questions. One, I want to start such a project. What do I do? Okay, so as I said, we are definitely there to help you. So I would tell you, contact us. And let's discuss about, your first, is it your first, so your maturity in a way, is it your first data monetization project? Is it your second? Are you very, very mature, and are you looking only for one particular type of help, or is it like really from A to Z? Okay, so contact us. After, I will probably switch at the end, before the end of this presentation, I will switch to the various emails so that you can send us your request via email. Yes, another question. Can NRB also help with an internal data monetization project? Absolutely. As I said, and I kept on insisting, even if you have money in the name, it doesn't mean that is going to be only about money and selling the data. Saving time and improving internal processes is going to be time, which in turn, as you can easily imagine, is going to be money. Okay, so also absolutely valid, this methodologies for this type of companies whose mission is absolutely not to make money, but increasing efficiency and increasing employee productivity is still making sense. So we would definitely help you, help the companies like that. What is the duration of a data monetization project? Well, there I will say it typically varies case by case. Okay, what we have foreseen in our methodology, it's 9 steps, and if you think about 1 or 2 weeks per step, you are going to be between 9 and 18 weeks. That's going to be a rough type of ideas, obviously depending on many things. Just imagine that we discovered that you don't have the data available for one particular topic of your Datamon project, and maybe you would need to revise and and rework that data to create it or to improve the quality, and that step can take internally a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Okay, but globally speaking, these are not a huge, incredible project that are going to last 10 years. Far from it. Okay, we are counting in weeks, and I think that I see that I've went through most of the question of today. So I'm just gonna show you the last slides about the various. So here you have my email address. You've got the generic data-AI email address where you can send any questions around AI and data. And maybe I'm going to finish this webinar by inviting you to go on our website, where you will find all the other, the coming webinars and all the next marketing events to come. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank you very much for your participation, and I wish you a very good day. Bye-bye.